out. Yes, here we are. A brief, quick message. I want to get on here and talk to y'all about our movement because not everybody knows about it yet. And it's very important to understand how it is a part of trauma healing. Because if you don't know, then your autonomic nervous system, the ANS, your inner child, can be re-traumatized. I've learned this the hard way. Because we're in a spiritual battle for the mind. And there are some narcissists out here who are physical abusers. And it's unfortunate, but many of us, including yours truly, have experienced that. And I'm going to tell y'all that was all the devil had left to attack, was my physical. So I got to talk about how important it is to become aware of the autonomic nervous system, your ANS, that inner child. So that it gets into the present with us. And it can relearn how to trust us again. And it can relearn how to adapt to things naturally and make the correct association with the five senses. Because part of the traumatization is the manipulation of all of our senses, our smell, taste, sight, touch, sound. Excess salt causes hallucination. That's a manipulation of our sight. Radio frequency zapping, that's electrocution. And if you have the internal environment, if it is ripe, if you will, or if it meets certain criteria, then all of the stuff, the chemicals in the air, the radio frequency in excess, so all of that is going to have a negative effect on the ANS. And then, in turn, your entire physical body, and then also your mind. It will trick you into thinking that you have things wrong with you that you don't. And so we have to become aware of that. And that's why God gave us combating RF, radio frequencies, for healthier living as our movement. So that way, we don't continue to be deceived over and over again. Remember how God talked about in the Bible. He said, there's going to be the deceived doing the deceiving, and those are the narcissists, not us. We got to become aware of this stuff. We got to know how our ANS is responding to things, including our movements. Because if the ANS is traumatized and we don't know it, then over time, we can become traumatized again. I know. And so we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen to y'all. So becoming aware of our inner child helps us as we learn more about all of the things they're doing, not just with radio frequency, but with chemicals in the air. I know. There you go. And so we don't want that. Got the chat up for y'all. Okay, so the question is, okay, so what is combating radio frequency, RF, for healthier living? What is it? Well, it's becoming aware of it. And then also how our autonomic nervous system is responding to it, because it's considered external stimuli. See, God created our biological bodies to detox naturally on a regular basis. Like, we really should not even have to go on a detox journey, like, on purpose. Our body is designed to do that naturally. But if it is traumatized, and we have too much salt and other toxins trapped, like air pockets with salt inside, if we have all that trapped inside the body, and then when consuming more liquid than we should, yeah, that's possible. And there's excess salt to mingle with that water, and then the mucus has salt in it, so you got to think about all of that. And it's just running through, right? And so you go to the store, you have excess salt water, and you have air pockets. You meet the criteria for electrocution, like, oh yeah. And what that does is it slows down your body's circulation, which in turn slows down your body's natural ability to adapt to changing environments. So I said, oh, wow, okay, this is why Well, okay. For those of you who may not know this, but no, it's not a hot flash. No. It's your body's inability to adapt to changing environments because of loss of muscle mass. And that excess sweat is, oh yeah, that's going to dehydrate any muscles you have left, which is the whole point. Because dehydrate the muscles, and the muscle mass loss already occurred at that time. By the time you reach that age, if you think you're going through that, and then you're sweating profusely, and now you're dehydrating whatever muscles you got left. This is why you'll see female bodybuilders and female weight trainers who will tell you that they've never gone through menopause because they didn't. So, and no, yours truly is not going through it either. It's called strength training and muscle building. Oh, yeah. For the narcissist who launched that Jezebel that launched the physical assault on me, who thought that you were going to trick me into thinking that I was going through that. No. All right, good afternoon. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome, Robert. We're talking about our movement, combating radio frequency, RF for healthier living. Because there's a lot of things out here we realize we've been lied to about since birth, right? Yeah. Because, see, what happens, radio frequency, y'all, in and of itself, it's not the culprit. It's the heat. Okay? So let's be clear about that. It's the heat coming from that radio frequency. What happens is if your body has excess salt, trapped air pockets with salt molecules in them, okay, and maybe you've got a bruise, maybe you've got other things going on, right? Then your body's going to get cooked. Your muscles are getting cooked, basically, okay? With excess salt water and all that excess salt in there. Your internal heat has gone up. And what that does, remember, heat rises. So what that does is it causes your body's internal heat to be higher than it should be, which leads to hallucination, which leads to buying on impulse because of lack of clarity, inability to focus. It leads to energy harvesting, draining you of your energy. And then over time, that leads to the loss of muscle mass, the loss of muscles in areas. This is why, listen, there's a whole lot that goes into that. But when you understand that radio frequency is being used to manipulate our autonomic nervous system, the ANS, see, the high frequency causes it to tense up. The low frequency causes it to relax a little bit. I want you to really think about this. Everything that's around us, okay, we're not going to escape the exposure because we ourselves are frequency, okay? Energy, frequency, vibration. All living beings, we're full of it. Energy, frequencies, and vibration. So, that being said, when you think about the way things are designed, it's not a coincidence, and it's on purpose the way that they're designed because it wants to keep your ANS, your autonomic nervous system, so stressed out that you become stressed out. And so you won't even think about anything but, man, you'll be on like an adrenaline rush, running on adrenaline, and never able to come to Christ and learn who you are in Christ. And your soul doesn't get saved because you continue to conform to this world and you have been tricked into thinking that you've got this or you've got that wrong with you. You're going through this when none of that is real. None of that is real. It's all related to the chemicals and the radio frequencies and the poison that we're being fed on a daily basis. That's why it's so important for healthier living to become aware of this stuff. And that ANS awareness as well. Because the high and low frequency, think about siren. Woo, woo, woo. All the time. You hear it together. Pay attention to that. Pay attention. How's your ANS responding to that? Okay. How's your ANS responding to that? All of that frequency. Think about the cop cars, your ambulances, your fire trucks. They all do it. That's programmed on purpose to do that. But see, if you don't notice it, if you don't realize that it is manipulating your autonomic nervous system, you just think, oh, that's just the siren. That's just what they do. Oh, yeah, that's just what they do. But the hidden agenda behind the matrix and all the evil is to keep your autonomic nervous system stressed out. And the best way to do that is to manipulate it by the highs and the lows frequencies. And then over time, what happens is your ANS, because it's your inner child, it'll get so tired of that just it's confused now. And then what happens is now it's not going to be able to interpret threats correctly because your ANS is your threat detector. I learned about that during my trauma training with the Arizona Trauma Institute. Okay? I learned about that part. But as far as the radio frequency manipulation of our ANS, I didn't get to that too much later, till after the physical assault in 2023. Okay, that Jezebel case study, yep, whatever. Okay, but full circle now. We're listen, y'all, we are just becoming more aware of all of this. And I could even hear it on the city buses. Yeah, public transportation, the city buses, as they come up to the bus stop. And you would never really pay attention to this if you weren't aware of the fact that radio frequency is being used in so many different ways. Because I remember here, it's like the brakes whenever they go, because I know what air brakes sound like. I used to be a truck driver. Right? Okay. So I know what it sounds like. So these buses got air brakes, but it's got a little bit of a squeal. Right? It's got a little bit of a squeal to it. It goes, right? That low frequency. And then behind it, there's a beep, 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 beep. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's so subtle that you can miss it if you're just in la la land. If you are just walking around in a constant fever-induced state because of excess salt and excess salt water and a state of delirium and under a cloud of cognitive dissonance, and you don't have any clue that all of that's going on, and so you don't have a clue that your ANS is like, man, is already stressed out. Oh yeah, them city buses, they're in Florida. They were set the brake, and then behind it, and that low frequency was first set behind them. Beep, 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 beep. And I was like, wow. Even my coffee pot. When I'm done brewing my tea, it's so subtle. Beep, 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 beep. I was like, yo, that percolating, at that low frequency, and then beep, 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 beep. Very, very subtle. Because I just remember I was still in Florida when I was just like standing there one evening. I was brewing my tea, and I heard that for the first time, and I went, oh my gee. I said, that is such a subtle way of radio frequency manipulation. And they designed these things on purpose like that. That's that spiritual weakness in high places that we're battling. But see, when you become aware of it, though, it's not going to have the intended negative effect. See, this is why the devil wants to keep a lot of people away from this ministry, because he knows. It ain't this ministry he cares about or nothing like that. He targets our health. And he knows that if people come over here, they're going to find out, hey, wait a minute, what? That minor discomfort I've been experiencing for about 2 weeks now, that I don't know where it came from. It just came out of nowhere, but it's minor. It comes and goes. Like when I get up and move, it's like it goes away because circulation is happening as you're moving, but then it comes back. And so now you go have it looked at, and there's nothing there. No, they can't, because air pockets don't show up on an x-ray. Can you see the air? Can you see an air pocket? Can you see air? No. So it's an air pocket. And there's a little salt molecule on the inside. That air pocket got trapped. Wherever that minor discomfort is. When I say minor, y'all, let me get this disclaimer out here. I mean minor. I'm talking about in general. A general ache, a general discomfort. But it can be a nuisance, right? Yeah. And so you go have it looked at. So now you've spent a couple $100. They can't tell you what it is. They don't know what it is, so they just give you this prescription, or you go get, or they tell you get some over-the-counter, whatever, pain reliever, right? Get something anti-inflammatory. Oh, they can tell you that it's inflammation. Yeah, they'll tell you that. You know why? Because the little salt molecule inside that air pocket got inflamed because it got hot. How did it get hot? Well, there's several different ways. Several different ways it got hot. Inactivity, which slows down circulation because the air pocket's there. See, if the air pocket wasn't there, then sitting down for 30, 40 minutes would not slow down your circulation. The only way it gets slowed down like that is when you've got air pocket kind of serving as a roadblock in your circulatory system. Okay? So, when you realize that it's just an air pocket, you get rid of that air pocket and you get rid of the discomfort. I mean, you have to think about it. It's very true. And it's kind of like like when you have a pinched nerve, what are they going to tell you? Right, take a anti-inflammatory something and relax. It'll work itself out. There's nothing no one can really do for a pinched nerve. It just works itself out. Same thing with an air pocket. You know, it's just going to work its way out. And I can tell you, walking is one of the best ways. And it might take a daily walk for several weeks, but that one air pocket that maybe in your knee, like yours truly got one, it's worked. Finally, one over here worked its way out, and now got a little, it's little. It's little. It's very minor. It don't hurt or anything like that, but I can feel the air pocket. I was like, okay, just gonna work it out. But make sure you get some animal protein and make sure you're eating healthier too. All right, you want to manage your salt intake as well. So that is a large thing right there. Okay, there's like the underlying issue for your average discomfort. So the disclaimer is, if you are experiencing something a bit more severe, then please do your research and have it looked at. I'm talking about just in general, okay, day-to-day stuff. Because how that air pocket gets heated is a lack of activity because it's an air pocket. And so when circulation slows down in that area, when circulation slows down in the body, period, okay, the body's internal temperature is going to increase. And when that happens, that's what causes that air pocket to expand, which is the inflammation. That's when you can feel the ping, okay? So, and then also, okay, yes, welcome, Andrea. And combating radio is either, okay, is RF by increasing distance and limiting time. I call that being frugal with frequency, yes. And then also RF interference using physical and software-based methods. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you just want to be mindful. Okay, so yes, welcome to the room. Yes, I see you, Andrea. Okay. Yes. Welcome. Okay, and this is just giving you all a backstory, not backstory, but the part of our movement and why it's so important and why God gave it to us, because it's another aspect of trauma healing. Because let's face it, if you've got those air pockets there, and if you're not aware of it, and you continue to feel discomfort, it continues to get heated up, your autonomic nervous system, your ANS, is going to remain stressed out. Because it is a large part of your circulatory system. So it's like your ANS is like, hey, I'm trying to see the nerves, your nerves. And I learned all about this in my master's degree program, y'all. I have a master's in forensic toxicology, so I learned all about how the nerves communicate. There's synapses in between the nerve, and there's a communication thing that goes. It is exchanged, like calcium and all of your electrolytes, things like that are exchanged through these synapses. So it's like you've got your veins and your blood, you've got that circulatory system. Well, your ANS is a big part of it is another circulatory system, if you will, because in those nerve synapses, you've got a communication of exchange going on. Dopamine, norepinephrine, okay, all right. Serotonin, okay, calcium, okay, sodium, okay, right, all right. And then also it serves, there's supposed to be a filter, okay, to filter out the toxins that the body doesn't want. What happens when circulation is slowed down? It messes up the communication in those synapses. And so they're not going to, they either aren't going to communicate properly or they're going to become overloaded. And so now your air pocket's going ping, ping, your ANS going, I'm trying to circulate, but I can't. Okay? Your ANS is all stressed out. It got too hot. It's like, I'm trying. And then stuff's getting built up inside them synapses. And so now your ANS, okay, if there's excess salt, oh boy, now you got excess salt and it trying to go, but that air pocket's in the way. You got excess salt water. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff that goes into this. And so you got all that going on. And so the air pocket wants to get out of the body, but the ANS is like, I'm trying to get to it, but it can't. Because circulation got slowed down. Now you got excess sodium over here. And so all of a sudden you're like, did I just see, what was that? Oh, what was that? Because now heat rises, it goes to the head. Because I learned in my master's program, okay, that, the excess salts can cause hallucination. And so when you got that heat rising to the head now, exactly. So that's not gaslighting. That's just a real factor. It's like a side effect of too much of a drug, a psychoactive, because excess salt is highly psychoactive. That's all there is to it. So radio frequency, the heat from it, will cause the internal heat to rise. And you think about a constant of that, right? Think about that happening constantly. And so that will be why you're draining, you're drained of energy, That's why you're feeling lethargic all the time. That's why you're finding it hard to focus. That's why you're finding it hard to think clearly. That's why you get back from the grocery store and you've got like a ton of these items that you're like, well, why did I buy that? That wasn't on the list. Because now you're not being cooked underneath those LED lights. Your body's ability to adapt to all of that wasn't inhibited, if you will. Okay, it wasn't interfered with. There you go. Okay, and so it was while you were there because of all the stuff that's on the inside. But if it wasn't, that wouldn't have happened. So I mean, I'm telling you, there's a whole lot that goes into this, a whole lot. And yet, to reduce exposure to radio frequencies, you increase the distance, limit use, avoid weak signals, and store your devices properly. Absolutely. That goes without saying. Thank you for sharing, Robert. And, okay, and so I just want to tell you that the good part about all of this, and our movement, okay, here, at Pushing Back Against Radio Frequency, we have a very, very simple solution. Because when you minimize air pockets, you minimize that consistent, annoying, minor discomfort that nobody can tell you what the cause is, except, boy, I just did. Air pocket. The air pocket that got trapped in there. And so it got to circulate to get out. And so the ANS needs to stop being interrupted from doing what it's supposed to be doing so it can get out and be able to relax. See, the more you're able to relax, the more your ANS operates like it's supposed to, and the more you heal. That's right. The more you heal. And so I want to go ahead and we've got Robert sharing some more. Said that Jesus told Martha and Mary have chosen the good part, and the good part that Mary hath chosen will not be taken from her. Thank you. That's what I said, that the good part about this movement at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, at Combating RF for Healthier Living, is that I've got a lot of how-tos for y'all, and we have more coming. And there's other stuff out there too. But you go to the website, it's linked in the video description below, cdhrwdrmd.org. You will find CHA's RF tips in the navigation drop-down menu. CHA's RF tip. All right, so you want to minimize those air pockets. Well, how do you do that? Got a guide for you. So it's RF tips and hacks. CHA Combating RF tips and hacks number 3. Okay, you'll locate that in CHA's RF tips in the navigation drop-down menu at the website. Okay. When you click on that, you will see that you can download the easy peasy copy for $7. That's it, just $7. And you will get more information about those air pockets, what causes them, and then you will get how to minimize them, and then you also get how to alleviate them. In other words, how to help them get out of the body. So there's your value right there. And I highly encourage y'all, if you are concerned about storage, make sure you have an external hard drive or a thumb drive, or download it on your PC and print it out and put it in a binder, because that's going to serve you well going forward. That's right, for $7. That's it. That's it. And we are taking a challenge right now for that. For CHA Combating RF Tips and Hacks number 3, for just $7, we have a goal. Okay? We want to see 100 copies of that being sold. So can y'all help us reach that goal? Can y'all help us meet that challenge? I thank you. Help us meet that challenge. All right? I'm telling you, I said, we're going to do this. I said, we got this. We could sell 100 copies, just 100 copies of that RF Tips and Hack number 3 for $7. That's it. So help us meet that challenge. And I declare and decree, God is going to restore. He's going to restore it back to y'all 100-fold. Glory be to God. So there's the good part. I got the how-to, and I'm going to tell y'all, seriously. And then the other challenge we have for you is, if you think avoiding carbonated beverages is too hard, and you think, okay, well, we aren't walking after fleshy desires anymore, right? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something. Before you balk that idea, or you say, well, I ain't going to do that, I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to avoid carbonated beverages for 30 days, just for 30 days, okay? And I want you to save this video, okay? And I want you to come back in the comments after 30 days, and I want you to tell me how you feel. After you have avoided carbonated beverages for 30 days, tell me how you feel. Because once you start to get rid of air pockets, you're going to feel lighter. Your energy is going to return. Your natural energy. You're not going to feel a consistent discomfort in that area anymore. Come on now. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. All right. And so thank you, Robert, for sharing some more Bible verses. And yeah, so, okay, he got 1 Corinthians 7, verse 35. He says, saying this for your own good, not to restrict you, but that you may live in a right way in undivided devotion to the Lord. That's exactly what we're doing. All of what we're doing right here is for the glory of God. He's the one that gave me this movement. He's the one that's giving me these how-tos. God's the one giving me these RF tips and hacks to give them to y'all. That's right. Iron sharpening iron. And so I talk about James 1:8 a lot. That refers to these narcissists out here. You cannot be double-minded, or you will be unstable. That's right. And then Mark 4, verse 19, it says, the seeds that fell among thorns are those who hear the word. But the worries of life and the desires for other things choke the word, making it unfruitful. You got that right. That's why we don't have the demon of worry. That's why we are walking and living by faith. Glory be to God. So thank you for those Bible verses. And that wraps up today's live stream. And also, I know many of y'all going to catch this on the replay. So when you do catch this on the replay, I want to see it in the comment below. Okay, I want to see it in the comment below. I want to see healthier living. All right, even in the live chat, if you've got time before we wrap it up, I want to see healthier living in the chat and in the comments on the replay. Y'all can catch additional information, insight. Check out the playlist on this channel. Thank you. Okay, thank you for hitting that subscribe button. And we got a lot more coming to you, because God is always working things out. He's always at work. He never sleeps, because evil never sleeps. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, we'll show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you in Jesus' name. Amen.